Hey guys, Asher coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. I'm glad to have you all here. How you doing today? The top 30 AoE Nukers inside Raid Shadow Legends. I can't wait to share this one. There's so many new champions on the list since we've done a video like this, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna break it down. A champion can't be on both lists. We're gonna have top 15 of PvP in top 15 of PVE. Obviously, some champions would be on the top 15 of both lists, but that we want 30 champions in the video. Before we do that, a quick impromptu 10 Void Shard opening before this double chance event ends here.
This mission of yours is gonna cost you dearly.
Perfect.
And I have no kid out tonight, so I think I'm going to finish Succession. I'm on season 4. I'm a little distracted, not gonna lie, by the Void Shard opening. I meant to have this on the background, but now I'm like, who am I gonna get, guys? I don't know. Eurogrim and Padma. That sounds pretty cool. And Demitha. There we go. Not too bad, right? Man, I guess I can't open Void Shards and talk at the same time. But anyway, I'm finishing Succession tonight, and I want a good recommendation from you guys. I really got into Succession, but it took me like a whole season to get into it. So, you know, viewer be warned. It's definitely worth it, but it takes, at least for me, it took a while. What else am I got going on? Me and my son, we're slowly making our way through Tears of the Kingdom, the newish Zelda game, and we're having a blast. But we've been playing, I feel like, for like, I don't know, it feels like 20 or 30 hours or something, and we're just, for those of you who play, we're just getting to like that pirate ship or whatever in the air, that big airship. So it feels like we're going very slow, but you know, it's part of the fun, Anyway, guys.
Can you go any faster?
Let's do this. Let's start, should I start with PvE or PvP? I'll start PvE. I ranked them all from 15 to 1 on both lists. There's a lot of snubs. Just fair warning, okay? I want to start out number 15. I'm not going to make this video 3 hours long. I'm not going to go over every champion in their entirety, but I'll talk about a little bit about why I love them, right? And I'm going to go Eryx. For me, Eryx is my favorite HP-based nuker in the game. I think I mean that. She's amazing, an AoE on every single ability with the stun at a 75% on a 3-turn cooldown. She's stealing buffs, she's transferring buffs, ally protect, a counterattack, leading back into more AoEs on the A1. And the thing about her is that she just did so much more damage than almost anybody that I put on a team with her. Just all those AoEs cranking out damage, really tanky as well. I love Eryx, man. I love her aesthetically too. I mentioned it before, but I love the smoke monster vibes, man. I love the smoke monster vibes. Speaking of Lost, did you guys hear that there's like a lot of drama going on about like all this drama that was going on behind the scenes during the filming? They're kind of ruining a show that I really enjoyed back in the day.
That's not what I came here for.
Number 14 on the list is going to be Husk. So one of our epic champions made the list today. Husk is really a beast, right? With this despair ability. He's got the stun on an AoE, but more importantly, it's an enemy max HP ability. He hits a little bit less hard than Royal Guard, but Husk is actually on some of the close to, or some of the top 10 Hydra damage dealing teams out there inside the game. And I prefer him to Royal Guard for Hydra because he also has to provoke on the A1, which is definitely helpful as well. Number 13 for PVE content is a guy that just doesn't get enough love, in my opinion, and it's Astralon. There's a lot of champions I left off this list, obviously. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments below. But Astralon, like, I'm always gonna err to this to champions that bring something else other than just a nuke to the table. And he's got the big nuke on his AoE, on the A3, excuse me. But then he has the stun as well, right? He's got that stun, 100% stun when booked. That's really good, man. Not as good as Eryx, but a lot more damage overall. I love Astralon. It's unfair to even compare him, but he smacks 16, 19, and good multipliers as well. Number 12, you know, we're giving a shout out. We're staying right here in Sacred Order. We're giving a shout out to another champion I think that gets overlooked a lot in the game, and it's Abyss. I love Abyss. She brings the decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown on an AoE. Mass Impalement hits really hard, but this A3, Divine Wrath, I mean, It's crazy. This is a ton of damage. This is a big girl nuke for Abyss, guys. She's really, really good. If you're looking for an AoE damage dealer, look no further than Divine Wrath. It's crazy damage. All right, number 11 is going to be another champion that I don't think gets enough love out there in the game. I was late to the game on this champion because I did not fuse him. Boy, do I regret not fusing him, but I actually pulled him, thank God, because it's Herndig. Herndig is a monster, right? He really is. He's got this, this is all AoE champion, so no Rotos, no Turvold, but I'm going to mention when there's a great ability added to the AoE in their kit, and he's got one with Stasis Strike, right? He's got the weaken, the burn on enemies with turn meter below 30%, and he has the fully depletes the target's turn meter. So at least that enemy is going to be below 30%, ideally on that A3. It's a great move. And then he has that strong, hard-hitting AoE on Arcane Tempest is A2. AoE, 100% decreased defense and decreased accuracy while we're at it, and a lot of damage. I like some Herndig, man. All right, heading right back up to Sacred Order. We left, but not for long, because it's my man Cupidus. I can't believe they buffed Cupidus, dude. Can you believe that? I already really loved Cupidus to begin with. But now, I mean, he's a monster, right?
Holy mackerel, mister. You scared the jeepers out of me.
He's one of my favorite Hydra, and he's used in the arena too. He could have really been top 15 on either list here, but I love him in Hydra Clan Boss. He's got the AoE on the A1. He's got the AoE now on the A2 with 100% burn. No big deal, and then a very hard single target ability. More importantly, he's bringing increased attack for 2 turns on himself on a 3-turn cooldown. We love that, right? So very, very strong kit. Plus, if you're lucky enough to have him and Venus, and we're gonna do a maybe top 10, but I feel like there's actually more than that now. There's a lot of them. Tandem, like companion champions pretty soon. Expect that this week. I've never made a video like that, and I can't wait for it. Anyway, he smacks. He's very fast, 107 base speed. I love Cupidus. This is another champion that I think is criminally underrated. My OG viewers will know that this is the first legendary I ever pulled inside Raid Shadow Legends, and yes, I say that every time I mention this dude. It's Biggin. I'm including Biggin on the list because no one talks about Biggin as one of the best nukers out there. But he really is, man. He really is. He smacks, first of all. He's got the Molten Slag, a double hitter. It hits incredibly hard. Then he's got reduced turn meter, decreased speed on the same ability. He's got the stun chance on forward charge, another extremely hard-hitting ability on an AoE, and then another AoE as long as the attack is critical on A1. So the A1, the A2, the A3, they're all hard-hitting AoE attacks. Biggin is not to be messed with, man. Number 8 on the list. Man, I feel like we're actually moving this video. I'm really proud of myself so far of not bogging down and getting too off the track here. Staltis Dragonbane at number 8. Man, I love Staltis. He is a monster. I think he's the best defensive-based nuker inside the entire game, even over Solus. His multipliers might not be quite as good, but he's bringing increased defense for 3 turns on his ability. So you don't need to set him up with increased defense to get more damage. He's also got a decreased crit damage, decreased speed, depending on which is higher of those stats. And then he has the AoE times 2 on a 3-turn cooldown with a 65% chance of a stun on both hits. Man, that's a really nasty stun ability. It also hits hard. This champion's really good, man. Staltis. I love him for Dragon. I love him for Arena. I love him from a control anywhere that you need it in this game. Dragon, because he's actually going to be shooting all those poisons right back out at the Dragon. Same thing with Weaken and a decreased defense. A very, very, very exceptional champion in the game. All right, number 7 is going to be a champion that I've been high on for, well, ever since he got a big buff. I feel like people are a little bit late coming around to how good Bellinor is now, right? Bellinor, number 7, he's got the AoE, decreased defense, and weaken on the same ability, 3-turn cooldown, and a lot of damage on this ability. And then he has Overkill. Overkill, I think the multipliers are like, it's over 6.8 maybe? It's very, very high with some surplus damage as well. So a strong single target nuke and a very strong AoE with both of the big versions of the debuffs on that insurmountable. I think that Bellinor definitely is being slept on after his buff. This used to be a single target ability. He used to be really next to useless, you know, kind of a niche champion unless you use him with Xavier. But now, man, he's really, really good. And you can still, with Xavier, he's on one of the, you know, faster kind of speedrun teams out there. Number 6 in the game, guys. We don't have to move. We're going to go right here for Royal Guard. Royal Guard comes in at number 6 in the PvE list. Do you think I'm too high on Royal Guard? Too low on Royal Guard? Either way, takedown's amazing. I mean, this is a very, very hard-hitting nuke. It's the strongest AoE enemy max HP out of every epic champion in the game, and there's not that many that are stronger, even including legendaries, only a couple. Very, very good. One of the stronger AoE attacks for PvE in the game, right? And then Hamstring is really good. It's not an AoE, but it's a 4-time at random with the decreased speed, and each hit has turn meter depletion. Makes him amazing for Dark Fae or you know, anywhere that you want to reduce turn meter. Fire Knight, right? Very, very great. I want to stop saying very good champion at the end of every champion. I said exceptional on the last one. I'm like, very good. Oops. Number 5, guys. Drum roll, please. Number 5, top 5 PvE nukers, AoE nukers in the game. Number 5 is going to be, speaking of enemy max HP legendaries, how about Grazer Iron Gut? Ooh, I want this dude so bad, and he can smack. He can smack. He's got an AoE on the A1. He's got an AoE in the A2. It's an enemy max HP ability. Increase the duration of all buffs while we're at it. This dude can do everything. A lot of damage, an AoE provoke, increased resistance, increased defense, shields, and then unkillable, you know, preempting a fatal hit. And whenever he's attacked, he heals all allies of the champion by 70% of the damage received. This guy's bonkers, man. Definitely my number 1 most wanted champion on my account. Number 4, right back into High Elves. It's Ethos. Ethos, man, of course I'm going to have him on the list. He's still a monster. Back when I started playing, back in my day, boys and girls, gather around in a circle while Grandpa Ash tells you about back in his day. Forget, you know, Grazer, Crazy, all these champions, man. Everybody wanted to get their hands on Ethos. And he still got it. He's still amazing. But man, he was the nuker in Raid Shadow Legends when I started playing. Anyway, AoE times 3, big version of Weaken. He actually got a buff to add it to make that the big version. And then this Extinguished Life. Well, I always say this, but it does just that, right? It extinguishes life. It deals a ton of damage. It's an AoE. It's always critical as well. No big deal. You always want to build with 100% crit rate anyway because of the A2. But it's just nice, and he's just an incredible DPS. All right, number 3 on the list. I don't know. I'm trying to think if Ethos should have been number 3. This guy should have been number 4. But either way, I love this guy so much. Where am I going? I love this guy so much. Where am I going? Am I blind? Am I? What the? Dude. Oh, man. I'm such an idiot, dude. I always forget the faction of Michinaki.
I say mate the ball.
I think that Michinaki is unbelievable. Like, I would probably, if I just went on, like, how much I'm in love with a champion, I would put him number 1 AoE nuker. That's how much I love this dude. He brings so much to the table, an incredible amount of damage. He's the 2nd best damage dealer for Hydra Clan Boss for my money in the game. An AoE, decreased defense, decreased attack if they're under Hex. Don't worry, he's got Hex too. He's removing all their buffs from each target on a 3-turn cooldown. And then whenever an ally attacks an enemy under Hex, he has a 50% chance of joining the attack and then have a chance of placing an HP burn as well. It's insane, man. Great multipliers. He's a defense-based, too. I said that Staltus was my favorite defense-based nuker. I guess I lied. I guess it's Michinaki. So sorry, Staltus. You're number 2. You're number 2, man. He just brings so much to the table, including a tremendous amount of damage. Number 2, PvE is Seer. That's right, an epic champion is number 2 in the game for PvP, or PvE AOE nuker, right? Karma Burn. Enough said, right? Moving on. You guys get it, right? Karma Burn? I mean, I could sit here and talk for hours about Seer, but Seer, what is the most scarce resource in Raid Shadow Legends? Pop quiz, boys and girls. What's the most scarce resource?
Money.
Money.
Time.
I'll kill you.
It's time, guys. and she saves you so much time. If you're lucky enough to have her, you throw some buffs on, and you just absolutely just extinguish, in the words of Ethos, those waves after waves after waves. She's amazing. Nobody hits as hard as Seer with that setup. Nobody in the game. Acresia, obviously number one, right? I mean, it's not even close. Not even close. Probably the most wanted champion in the game. In AoE times 2, enemy max HP on the A1, enemy max HP on the A2, enemy max HP on the A3. We're talking millions and millions and hundreds of millions of damage. She's one of the best damage dealers against almost every boss in the game. She is the boss killer. She's the Hydra killer. She's the everything killer. Acresia. I mean, I can't believe they released a champion with enemy max HP on every ability. I mean, I can't believe they did that. And it's awesome if you have her. If not, you just really want her, right? All right, guys, let's move into the top 15 of PvP in the game. So number 15 is going to be, I wanted so badly to give it to Anithwi Blood Twin, and I would if it was single target, because Anithwi for me, it's all about that A2, which is a single target ability. So instead, I'm giving it to Foley at number 15, right? Foley has Sealed Fate. You get a double hit on whoever you want to kill the most, and then enemies killed by this skill cannot be revived, including the AoE as well. He also has that great passive. Whenever you put a stun, freeze, sleep, provoke on him, he's removing it and healing himself and boosting his turn meter by 50%. What a great arena opening move. Now, this guy could have probably been on the list for, you know, especially Fire Knight, a quadruple hitter and a quadruple hitter as well on his A1 and his A2 for PvE. But yeah, for me, the synergy between just the block revival and the Sealed Fate and that amazing living armor passive, he's got to be on the list. He's got to be on there. Number 14 is going to be Magnar. Percussive Pound, man. I mean, this is a beast mode ability. He is kind of the, I don't want to say poor man's, but he is an epic, so he's easier to build, less expensive to build and obtain, right? He's the poor man kind of go second nuker, because you can build, he's an HP-based champion, you can build him to be pretty tanky, to take a hit, and then he just absolutely clobbers everybody with his Percussive Pound. Really good champion, is also a beast in PVE as well. Number 13 is going to be Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Here she is. It is Ronda. We weren't sure about Ronda when she was introduced to the game, or before she was, you know, when it was announced, but we hadn't played her yet, when we just saw the kit. But man, she's great in PvE and PvP. She has this Fury Tremor, which hits really hard. I use her on my mini account as my arena nuker, right? But more importantly, maybe, she has the Phase Rushdown as well, which is a block passive skill ability. So hard to find, and it hits incredibly hard. Both of her attacks, obviously the AoE is what we're talking about today, but you can't overlook that, right? Especially if you don't have, like some dummies out there, if you're too lazy to go for Ramen 2 Drake's Blood, at least you have the option, and it can't be resisted, which is really, really nice, right? Can't be resisted. That's the only reason that you need accuracy in her kit as well. So it's fantastic. She's immune to turn meter reduction effects when this skill is not on cooldown, and decreased turn meter reduction effects used against this champion by 50% when this skill is on cooldown. A lot of people forget about that passive to Fury Tremor. It's a really, really nice add-on. All right, number 12 is gonna be one of my personal faves. You guys already know this. It is Genbo. Genbo the Dishonored. This dude is a monster. Each hit steals increased attack buffs on his A1. The increased attack steal cannot be resisted. People forget about that on the A1, right? And that's not like a 40% chance of stealing the increased attack, or 20%. It's a 100% chance, and it can't be resisted, right? The extra stealing a random buff, that one is a 50% chance when booked. On the A2, Heartless Blitz, an AoE attack that deals a lot of damage and decrease the duration of all buffs on the enemy, can't be resisted on critical hits, sure. And then the increased crit rate, increased crit damage, an extra turn, a great setup. And then his immunity decrease attack will ignore unkillable buffs when attacking under an increased attack buff. If you don't have one on your team, just steal it from somebody. There you go, man. Genbo is a great champion, a great nuker, and a great kit. Number 11, guys, is going to be one of my personal favorites. I think that people sleep on this dude a lot. It's Constantine the Dayborn. Just put out a guide on Constantine the Dayborn on my Champion Guide channel if you guys want to check it out. But I mean, let's start with his passive. Enemies from Undead Horde, Demon Spawn, Knights, Revenant killed by this champion cannot be revived. I mean, real quick, guys, look at all the meta champions From Prince Kaimar to Hefrak to Kandrafon to Inithwi, Helikath, Duchess. I mean, there's so many. More to Macabre. There's so many champions that we go against. The Sifis, the Rotos, the Ultimate Death Knights. I can go on and on here, guys. Deny Revival on all of his abilities. That passive is super strong. If Vlad's on the same team, anybody he kills is blocked. This Quietude, it smacks. And before attacking, it steals all buffs from the target, then transfers all debuffs from this champion to the target. That's a really hard-hitting ability. I know it's over 6, the multiplier. I forgot exactly what it is. But then Rune Shatter, it's an AoE ×2. Each hit will ignore 10% of target's defense for each leech, decrease defense, and block active skills they are under. So yeah, man, I mean, it's the reason he's on the list is because a ton of damage, right, on AoE attacks and his A3, but really that Exalted, dude, that Deny Revival makes him sneaky one of the best arena nukers for me in the game. Number 10, guys, number 10, we don't have to go far. This might shock and chagrin some people, right? Errol. Dude, don't sleep on Errol. He smacks now, dude. He really does nuke. It says a lot that I put him over Constantine, because I love Constantine. But boy, if you're looking for a Force Affinity arena nuker, look no further, man. After his buff, he hits hard. Helmbreaker, they made it AoE ×2, extra 30% chance on a crit. Same thing with the A3, by the way. And then each hit ignores 15% of the target's defense. Yeah, man, nothing much else to say about this champion other than, boy, his base attack is really high, almost 1,700, and ignoring defense, a 2-time hitter that has great multipliers. Errol, people are sleeping on Errol big time. This next one is going to be kind of weird. I felt like I should include him to where I think he belongs, or maybe a little bit lower. So I think I'm snubbing Quintus the Triumphant, but I also wanted to give him a nod. I don't think anybody has him at the time of this recording. He has 0 reviews, but his multipliers are insane. It looks like he's going to be one of the better nukers out there in the game. So TBD, I wanted to include him because we know the stats, we know the numbers, and I think he's just going to be a monster. But no one's actually used him, so, you know. Anyway, crowd favorite, his A3 attacks all enemies, places an increased attack and increased crit damage before attacking, resets the cooldown of strip away if the attack kills an enemy. Strip away, well, you guys can read it. It's a single target. We're not here to talk about that, but boy, this dude seems like a monster. Each of this champion's skills deals additional pure damage. The amount of pure damage dealt is with 10% of the target's max HP for each buff on them. So going against a go second team with this dude and ignoring shield as well, I mean, he's gonna be insane. I can't wait to get him. Eventually, I think everybody will get him eventually, but it's going to take time for the live arena to kind of spread out. Probably another, I don't know, 6 months or so. It's going to take some time for a lot of players to start getting their hands on him, but boy, when they do, he's going to be ultra, ultra meta, in my opinion. What about you guys? Number 8. Number 8 is going to be Hefrak. I love Hefrak. You can do some really gnarly, frustrating stuff with this dude, such as putting him in stone skin and just waiting for a squishy champion to die and then triggering that passive. You know, there's some of you guys watching right now who run teams like that. I hate it, but I respect it. Whenever an ally is killed, instantly activates Hefrak Scorn, even if the skill is off cooldown. It's an AoE, it hits very hard, an extra hit on targets with less than 50% HP after the first hit. Each hit will ignore 15% of the target's defense. I mean, that's all I got to say about that. Very cool synergy between that passive and that A2. And as I already said, that A2 smacks. This dude hits very, very hard. I love running him in the arena. Next, some of you guys might disagree with me on this one at number 7, but I've still got a soft spot in my heart, clearly, for Trunda. Trunda used to be number 1. She used to be the GOAT. She used to never miss a leg day everywhere, every day, in every arena team if you had her. But now, people don't have a lot of love for Trunda. It's really about Stone Skin, but for my money, Trunda still is one of the best nukers in the game, right? I mean, Forge Rhythm, if you build her with low accuracy so she's not landing the stun and placing an extra hit instead, nothing can outdamage this, at least on my account, right? Now, granted, again, I guess there is one thing maybe that can outdamage that. We'll talk about that in a bit. But boy, it's still one of the best nukes in the game, right? Not to mention, she has one of the hardest hitting nukes on the A2 as well. So you guys let me know, am I crazy with how high I put Trunda? We're talking about over Hefrak, over Errol, over Constantine, Rhonda, like all the champions that we talked about. Or are you with me on Trunda Guilt Mallet? Do you still have a lot of love for what she brings to the table? It's still worth pointing out, I would say, that she has 23k HP and over 1600 attack. Like, it's crazy that one of the best nukers in the game has that much survivability as well built into her. That's an attack-based champion, just to boot, just to add on, right? Number 6, guys, is going to be Candyman, Canderfon. Really one of the best go second attack-based nukers in the game because he's bringing the veil on himself. He's protecting himself. He's mitigating damage while he's under that veil. He has a bunch of self-buffing abilities. So again, if you can protect him between the veil, between, you know, whatever else you have on your team, bolster sets, shields, whatever, you can allow him to just kind of take his time, right? He can self-buff, perfect veil, increase attack, increase speed, increase crit damage, and then come back around and absolutely destroy everybody with Butcher's Glee. A very hard-hitting ability, but we can't talk about Candyman without at least mentioning that he has one of the hardest-hitting A1s in the game as well. Heck, you can use him against like a Yameko or a Warlord team too, because even if everything's off cooldown, he still has his passive, and he still has Punish Hubris, which just can absolutely destroy the enemy team. So Candyman at number 6. Number 5 is going to be Mr. Leo, the Aureus the Proud. Let's start with the A2. It's a 2-time hitter. It hits very hard, but this passive, it makes him so strong. The champion's immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, petrification when this skill is not on cooldown. That's really, really strong, guys. That's really strong. And then Awesome Roar. It's a very hard-hitting AoE attack. He has a hard-hitting attack on the A1 as well. Then the True Fear. And then before attacking, he's placing a Weaken. Dude. And he has that unkillable preempting fatal hits. Really, really, really good nuker. Maybe could have been higher on the list. You guys be the judge of that. Number 4 on the list. And it kind of pains me to put him at number 4. By the way, shout out to Cleotyrix. I had Cleotyrix and Ragash both on my list at one point when I was making it, and they both got bumped off, I don't know, for like, I think Astralon and Abyss or something like that. In my heart, I want to put him higher. It's Baron. I want to put him higher, but the thing about Baron is, it's very simple, right? You keep Baron alive long enough to use Skypiercer, and the enemy team is usually dead, right? But you got to keep him alive. Right, that's the hard part. Anyway, Skypiercer, I was saying earlier when we were talking about, who we were talking about? Trunda, one of the strongest nukes in the game, her Forge Rhythm. And I said, oh, there's one more stronger. I was thinking about Skypiercer because we're ignoring 50% of target's defense plus Helmet Smasher plus Savage or Lethal Gear gives us a chance to ignore 100% of defense. And then we're also ignoring shield. And we're also ignoring block damage. So forget about like Helicath and stuff like that. We're good. It just hits so hard, man. Baron is a monster. You just got to keep him alive. Get to his turn, and you're looking A-okay. Ignore shield. Who cares if there's a Valkyrie on the other team? If I'm doing live arena, and they run a Helicath and a Valkyrie, or either or, I'm putting Baron in, and I'm putting somebody to protect him, like a bolster set, an Ursuga, or a Nekret, or something like that, you know, depending on who you have. All right, number 3. You might be asking at this point, well, who's better than Baron if he has the hardest hitting attack in the game, Ash? Well, how about Nutcracker? Jurgen the Breaker is a monster. And similar to Baron, it's just all about keeping him alive. The cool thing about Jurgen, the reason I put him over Baron, is because he has the Ignore Stone Skin, who, unlike Allele, actually smacks. We're talking like 250k damage without any debuffs against like a Siphi fully buffed up. A lot of damage on Deadly Ballet. Grants an extra turn if you kill an enemy, which it normally does. It ignores everything. And then you grant the extra turn, you come in March of 10. It's an AoE that smacks, decrease target's turn rate by 30% that cannot be resisted. Unkillable if you kill somebody. And then this crack any shell is the magic that makes everything happen, right? 50% chance for this champion to ignore 50% of the target's defense from each hit placed by this champion's skills. That allows him to, you know, pull off those 250k nukes. Just an absolute phenomenal champion and nuker in the game. Number 2, some of you guys say I'm too high on this champion. And, well, I disagree, because here I am ranking her number 2. Harima. I mean, she's my most used arena nuker by far. Because she's defense-based, she has 1531 base defense. She's so easy to keep alive, building her to be an absolute just truck of a nuker. And then she has this passive that's just so valuable. Enemy ignore defense effects are decreased by 50%. So basically it mitigates almost all the champions we've listed today. You know, like if you're going against a Baron, you got to run a Harima to mitigate that 100% ignore defense potentially on the Skypiercer. If you're going against a Jirigid the Breaker, you got to run a Harima to mitigate that decreased defense. And this doesn't apply just to her, it applies to her entire team. And then champions from Demon Spawn can't inflict critical hits on her. That's great. There's so many Demon Spawn meta champions, as we spoke about earlier. But even like a Morton Macabre, right? Normally, he'd have an affinity advantage over Harima. But he doesn't because he can't land a crit on her. He can't kill her, you know? And then she can't land weak hits against Duchess. It says Demon Spawn, but I look at it as Duchess because half the time when I'm playing Harima, I'm going against a Duchess team, and Duchess puts the veil on everybody, and then she just goes in there and she still smacks because she can't land a weak hit against her. But anyway, she has this AoE here, Celestial Awe. It places a provoke, can't be blocked or resisted by Demon Spawn faction champions. That means even block debuffs on a Demon Spawn will not block that provoke. It's on a 3-turn cooldown, and it just deals insane amount of damage. And it's instantly activated by Purgative Punishment, her A2 ability. All right, I love Harima. Enough on Harima. Number 1 PvP nuker in the game is a champion I don't have, and I think it's Taurus the Fierce. What do I gotta say about this dude, other than I hate facing him? First off, all incoming damage by skills is reduced by 50%. Well, that's annoying. This dude's so tough to kill. That's the worst thing about him. And you know what I hate about him? This. Place a fear debuff on all enemies from Orcs, Ogryn tribes, Undead Horde, Demon Spawn at the beginning of each round. It can't be resisted. I hate that, dude. I hate that. I've called for this before, but in the past I've been like, dude, if they were going to nerf him, it's a small nerf, but just get rid of the debuff can't be resisted. Like that one sentence. Anyway, I digress. One attack decreases the enemy's attack by 10% up to 50%. Why not just add that to his kit as well? He's got this hard-hitting stun for 2 turns, double damage, whose attack is higher than this champion's attack on the A2, and then he has constant pressure. Whenever I see the words constant pressure coming at me in the arena, I brace for impact, man. It's a very hard-hitting AoE attack. Increase the duration of all ally buffs while we're at it. Damage increased by 15% for each buff on all allies? What? It's disgusting, and I hate him. And I think he's the best PvP nuker right now in the game. How do you guys feel? Who did I snub? Let me know in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, guys. Don't forget your TV show and your movie recommendations for me as well. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.